Hey, it's Meg. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a junk journal with me in this passport sized junk journal. I've been loving working in this size and today I wanted to do some painting. So what I have is some random packaging that, you know, when you see something and you think, I think that will be useful for my journal, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it now. So I will just leave it in the ever-growing pile of papers that always seems to accumulate. That's an example of this. I can't even remember what this is from, but what it has is a little slit that's been cut into it. I think from where you fold things over and pop the little piece of cardboard inside, like a cereal box top closure, that kind of system. And so what I decided to do was use this as my base for doing some painting in my junk journal. So I haven't done any in this one so far, and it's something that I really do enjoy doing, and I do want to make a habit of doing it more. I think I say this all the time, to kind of get a bit more arty with things, bringing my own kind of painting and drawing into it. And if you're someone who feels a bit nervous about doing that, or like you're not sure, you don't think that I don't know, like maybe you feel like you're worried about messing up a journal page, then doing it like this, where you're working on something outside of your journal, so just a scrap piece of paper, the back of a cereal box, something like this, really gives you that freedom to kind of experiment, and then you can then decide whether you want to include it in your journal or not. You can always kind of try again. And what I'm doing here is going through some of my old sketchbooks that have things in them in various stages of, completedness, some things that are really just like rough sketches, and other things that are a bit more polished. But I feel like that's the nature of sketchbooks anyway. That's like a whole other topic about the fact that that's just for experimentation, it's not just for like finished pieces. Anyway, I wanted to go through that and find something that I had sketched previously, just as like a bit of a reference for me for this painting. So I wanted to do something that was a bit more abstract, not kind of copying exactly, especially with working with like kind of more, how you can see the brush strokes of like the paintbrush and things. So I'm just using some white acrylic because I thought that this would pop against the mustard yellow background, because that's quite bright but also quite dark at the same time in terms of the colour that it is. So I wanted to use something that would contrast with that, and the little blob of paint above that, above the white paint, is actually some acrylic ink. I believe it's in burnt sienna, because what I wanted to do was to add a little bit of depth to this paint so that it wasn't just stark white. So adding in that little extra bit of colour kind of helped to make it a bit more of an off-white almost, kind of gave it a little slight like orangey tinge, which I think worked quite nicely for the colour scheme that I was going for, and carried this abstracty look throughout the whole piece, just to make something that was a bit more fluid and not as like stiff and rigid. I'm always conscious when I'm trying to do like paintings of flowers and things, I don't want them to look too like they're like a flower, like a picture just like glued to the page, if that makes sense. Got the curtains up. I guess it would be nice if you could So what I'm using here to paint the detail of these leaves is actually an acrylic ink. It's by the brand De La Rowney and this shade is Antelope Brown. Now I absolutely love this shade. It's like a really deep, earthy, rich brown, but also green at the same time, if you can imagine that. And this shade just works so perfectly with the mustard. So rather than me using like a typical like grass green or something like that, this deep shade, it just has so much depth, and I really love it for this because it's not quite black, and it kind of looks different in different lights, and you can dilute it, so it kind of looks more brown here probably on the camera, but I promise you it's got like a really like earthy green tinge to it, and I just absolutely love it. So that's what I decided to use, and I'm just using a super fine like detail brush to do this, and it was so therapeutic to do this. I was just adding lots and lots of different leaves in different directions, and some of them I was trying to have them like overlapping with the flowers, others I was trying to make them look like they were going behind the flowers, again to give that dimension to this and try and lift it up so it wouldn't look so flat and two-dimensional. So adding the leaves sort of in front and behind of the flowers was one way I was doing that. Another way is also to paint the leaves as if they're going off the page, and so I just kept adding leaves in different directions until I felt like I shouldn't add any more, because I'm always in that like dangerous zone of adding too much and like keep going, and sometimes knowing when to stop is a good thing. But I was really enjoying this, so I might actually do some more of this maybe on, I'm thinking like if I have like scraps of paper or like book pages, maybe when I've gutted a book and I've just got loads of random book pages, it might be nice to do some like leaf patterns and then have that maybe as some like collage fodder, and things to use as background elements. But it was just a really nice process to do. So after I had finished painting and everything had had a chance to dry, I came in with some coloured pencils to add some texture and some depth to my flowers. This is something I love to do because I feel like it gives some definition to the flowers, and oftentimes when I've done this like abstract florals, it's almost one of those like trust the process things, because as I'm doing it I'm thinking, oh gosh, this is just like a painty blob, like this doesn't look like a flower. But as soon as I come in with my colour pencils, so the one that I'm using here is by the brand Caran d'Ache, and I believe I am using their the one that is in Perylin Brown. It's kind of like a rusty reddish colour, like a deep, almost brown. And these coloured pencils, they are a little bit more on the pricey side. I don't have that many of them, but the colour payoff that you get from them, I really, really love. So if you're looking at maybe investing in some colour pencils, if you enjoy using them, I would highly recommend these. And I just love to add them for that texture, because if you like go across something lightly as well, you just kind of get that lighter effect. I don't know how to describe it. It looks a bit like, do you know, when you're doing like a rubbing of tree bark and it's not quite like 100% flat because the texture of the paint is there. Just adds a really nice finishing effect. And before I add this to my journal, I just went around the edges with my stamp pad. I know, I think I've said this before, you can get all the fancy, like, you know, Tim Holtz little brushes and things, but I just went in with my stamp pad. Super easy, no fuss or anything here, just to give that finishing edge, almost a little bit of contrast. Now, I wanted to do some collage on the other side of the page, just nice and quick and simple, nothing too involved, because I had already done this painting and I just decided I didn't like this piece of paper or tissue that I had included in this journal, so I decided to rip it out, made that decision, and so carried on then with the journal page, adding in some more collage elements to this page just to add like a scrappy background, because I love to add all these different layers, so book pages, I believe the brown paper was like a random envelope, just layering things up and looking at the tones and colours I was using to make sure they were matching with the painted element that I was adding to the page.
Clouds roll by, glittering. I never thought they would let me in. A fading light, a distant call. The devil will never be welcome here at all. The sky is gray, I guess that's what it takes to feel a little lonely. It's a stay. Do you feel our love is the only thing that is real? It's like a heart with nothing to conceal, nothing more. Lesson learned, a slight state of hope that you will return. It's what I got, and then the summer turned into fall. Waited here just for you, caught in the moment of finally getting through. Fading like a distant call. I do not remember those days at all, but I would never be here if it wasn't true. So let me be the one to hold you. Do you feel our love is the only thing that is real? It's like a heart with nothing to conceal, nothing more. Lesson learned, a slight state of hope that you will return. It's what I got, and then the summer turned into fall.
So that is everything for today's journal with me. I hope you enjoyed journaling along with me today as I created this painty page that also has, as you can see, a little tuck spot there for adding in a very slim journal card. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!